Hey, buddy.
What's going on? Speed.
Dustin Connell.
Cornell.
Cornwell.
It's not Connell, right? It's Connell.
It's Connell.
So we got Dustin Connell, James Connell, Thomas Clements, who y'all probably know. You've been on a couple podcasts.
I just met Thomas.
What do you think of Thomas?
Thomas is a stud.
Yeah.
Hey, look, that sucker can blow a turkey call. I don't even know if you blow a turkey call. Do you blow a turkey call? Somebody comment below.
Wail on it.
Hey, you got that touch on turkey calls.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, he's a little
And he picked it up quick. You've been turkey hunting, what, 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Has it been 3 years?
Now. This will be the 4th year. That killed the first turkey in 2020.
And he picked it up quick. Some people, like, it just, you get it. I'm not that guy.
You mean kind of like me today?
Yeah, you nailed it. We had a good old time today.
Yeah, we did. That was fun.
But I think, and you probably know more about this than I do, but like I've gone, this is probably about the same 4 years for me where I've like actually turkey hunted, because previous to this I just fished, and that's what I did my springs. I mean, probably similar to you, but I think that I have the way that the roof of my mouth, the palate of my mouth is shaped, I think is just off, where I can't really cast the right sounds with the diaphragm call yet. At least I hadn't figured it out. I think I have an oddity that I just like, dude. I've been doing this for 4 years, and I just can't pick it up. And then when Thomas picks it up that quick, I'm just like, man, you kind of throw your hands in the air, like it just hadn't clicked for me.
Like, this might sound really novice. Do you like choke on the call every now and then?
Have you ever choked on the call?
I didn't choke on it when you first start. It kind of tickles the back of your throat a little bit when the latex starts vibrating. But honestly, for me, it was just trying a bunch of them, because people, you get on YouTube and you Google how to work a mouth call or how to do this or how to do that. I think the most important thing is to find one that fits your mouth the best. Like the roof of your mouth might be shaped different, but also the cut that you can make sound the best from the get-go. Like, I can't work a combo. I can't work a ghost cut. I like a bat wing. Some people like a combo. Some people like a V cut. You know, find whatever one works the best first, and then just spend an obscene amount of time with that sucker in your mouth in a truck.
But when I was younger, I had a very concaved roof of my mouth, which is, I mean, that's where you're putting the turkey call. And I had to put the orthodontist put a contraption in the top of my my mouth.
That you had to twist.
Yes, dude, you did that?
Yes.
No freaking way.
Yeah, it was like a.
Did you have a huge gap in your front teeth when they sat there? Like, after a while, they did it?
What it is it goes on top of your mouth and it attaches to those 4 teeth, and you got to turn it every night, and you can almost feel like your jaw is cracking.
Yes.
And you wake up every morning with toothaches.
Yes. Okay, thank you, because I don't know anybody else that had that.
I had that contraption.
I had it too. It was horrible.
Yeah, and it made your 2 front teeth fall out like that.
I got in a fight with my cousin because he made fun of me at school in the lunchroom one time. I was standing behind him in the lunch line. He's like, y'all seen that big ass gap in these teeth? And I was behind him. I just clocked him in the back of the head. We started going at it in the lunchroom.
James remembers that.
I used to like turning it.
You did it?
Yeah, he was, he couldn't see it when he first got it. Mama would be like, you need to turn that thing.
I'd get in there and I'm like, dude, somebody
just hold
help
his
me.
head,
Because I would like look up and I couldn't really see it in the mirror, and I was like, just yank it. And he put that thing in there and go.
What do you mean you liked doing it?
He liked hurting.
That's pretty messed up.
He liked hurting.
My mom did it and she hated it.
He was like, that's just a brother thing. Just like turn it and
make your brother squirm a little bit.
He loved it.
It sucked.
It was a contraption.
Yeah, I mean, I had to, at least my experience, I had to relearn kind of how to eat with it. I mean, you had this whole thing just lodged in the roof of your mouth, and it took up a lot of.
How far does it hang down? Like below?
Pretty good ways.
Yeah,
I mean, like your tongue's resting on it pretty much the whole time.
That messed me up. I'd fool with it the whole day.
Oh, I'd have that out there.
But every night you'd have to crank it, and it would literally, like you're saying, like you could feel it like cracking the the roof of your mouth almost.
Common denominator. I can't use a mouth call worth a flip. You can't. You don't like using it either. I'm blaming it on the orthodontist.
I mean, I've put time into trying to figure out a mouth call, and maybe I just haven't put enough time or something hadn't clicked for me, but that's kind of what I'm blaming it on anyways.
Yeah, we're going to do that slate call.
I was about to say, though, you can rip a slate call. It
I
sounds
feel like I'm
good
getting a
when he
little
dropped
confident
back.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And I can't. You run a box call better than I can. I haven't spent any time trying to figure out a box call.
See, I kind of had to figure out the other stuff just because the mouth call never. There might be something to that for real.
Yeah.
I mean, at least leaning on that excuse because I got nothing else.
Folks at home, don't trust your orthodontist if you want to be a turkey call.
No. Heck no.
All right, so we'll get into today's hunt at some point, but for those listening that don't keep up with the fishing as much, Dustin is now two-time Red Crest Major League Fishing world champion, which is the Super Bowl of bass fishing, and you've won it twice now. Just won it like a week ago?
Yeah, a week and a half ago.
Has it settled in?
It finally has. You know, I don't know. Ever since they had that schedule out, it was on Lake in Alabama. Okay. And I was at last year's Red Crest when they announced it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh boy, this right here might be good. Because I knew this time of year, I knew middle of March, they won't be on beds yet. It's going to be a hardcore pre-spawn deal. Spotted bass are really going to play. So, man, I had so many sleepless nights. Nobody really understands the pressure on you when the expectations are high. Okay,
When it's your home body of water.
100%, and you know that more than anybody. You're like, this is a great opportunity. Don't mess this up.
So did you grow up fishing Lay Lake? Lay Lake.
Funny story. I told this before I won that tournament, like 5-10 minutes before the end of the day. So me and James got an Alumacraft. How big was it? 16 footer?
No, it was like 14 foot.
14 foot Alumacraft, had a 25 horse motor on it. James bought it because I was broke. Didn't have a dime. I was like 12, 11 years old. So I remember that. He rolled up at the house, towing it with your little blue truck. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You were working at Durbin Farms at the time.
Yep.
Like,
Butcher and Clanton.
yeah. And anyway, he got this boat, and we had never went to the public body of water. We don't know nothing about it. We fish ponds and streams and creeks and all that. We launched the boat out there. We run out there on Lay Lake. We pulled up on a place that Robert was like, hey, man, go throw a topwater here. And like James's third cast, he hooks a big one on a spook. We've been talking about a dang spook all day. He hooks a big one. He comes up, it breaks him off, and the thing's out there jumping.
Trying to throw it.
Like a 5-pounder.
Yeah,
and I was like,
we watched him show it to us about 4 times leaving, and that was it.
And I was,
you were 12. You were probably, what, 16, 17?
It was I want to say my junior year in high school. So I was probably, 17?
17, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was that would put me 12, 13.
You were broke as a 12-year-old?
No, I was not broke, because here's what happened.
What 12-year-olds are out there just...
Rolling.
Hey, they're rolling around with iPhones now. So when I was 12, we didn't have phone. There wasn't freaking phones or nothing.
Yeah, Game Boys.
That was it.
There was a Game Boy. Did you have a Game Boy?
Yeah.
Did you play the Pokemon?
No, I used to come home hardcore and play Donkey Kong.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I played that too.
Yeah,
Mario.
Donkey Kong, PlayStation 2.
But I remember when the Game Boys, when it was a Game Boy Color instead of like the black, big deal.
Big deal.
Sega
Genesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the days before iPhones were around. Yeah. So anyway, 12 years old, go out there and go catch one or two, and I was like, oh God, and I fell in love with it. I was like, God dang, this is awesome. So then we started fishing a few little tournaments when I was like 12, and then fast forward now, 20 years later, here we are.
So that was going to be one of my questions. Is like, I kind of want to know your story. You and I are buds.
We don't ever dive into it.
No, I've never really heard like exactly where you're from or how you even got into fishing. But so I mean, where are you from? Where are y'all from?
Clanton. Lived there our whole life.
Clanton, Alabama. And if you're not familiar with Clanton, I've actually met people from New York City that actually know where Clanton, Alabama is. It's really weird.
Why?
There's 2 big peaches in the whole country. Okay, and you know where one of them is? I'm sure Gaffney. You know where Gaffney?
Yeah, my family, a lot of my family's from Gaffney.
All right, there's a big peach in Gaffney.
I take pictures of it all the time, making fun of it because it looks like a giant butt.
It does. It has like a little
knob on
little
it.
knob at the bottom.
Little poo poo coming out or something.
Yeah, like a little
Yeah.
hemorrhoid down there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it does.
It does.
So and then
turtle-head.
so Clanton, Alabama has one too, has a peach, and our
Really?
town is known for peaches. So and the Coosa River. So we live right there on Lake Mitchell, Lake Jordan, Logan Martin, Alabama River, all them in a
Big deer in Clanton. Big deer.
Mega deer. Listen, if y'all want to find some really big deer, especially in the city limits of Clanton, man, you need to go knock on some doors there. There's at least a couple 85 inchers there.
Beggins.
I mean, like
5-year-olds.
Hey, when you know how people say, "Oh yeah, he's in the 80s." He literally, they're in the 80s there. Yeah.
Without the one at the beginning.
100%, like an 81 incher.
Oh yeah.
So anyway,
The reason I say that is because we were texting in the fall, and I was just sending you pictures from like all these other states. I was like, "Hey man, these are all in Clanton."
dude, I'm for real. You had me going for a
I
minute.
know.
Because I don't put it past you. This guy's like a daggone big buck master. Like, I mean, I'm just telling you, he can find a biggin.
Even in Clanton.
Yeah. So
you grew up in Clanton. You're kind of a central point there with a lot of lakes, like you just said. But keep going.
no, you're good. So like, I just fell in love with it. James got me into fishing, and I was like, dude, this is what I love to do.
But was that y'all's first fishing trip, or were you fishing ponds? Like, how'd you?
We fished. Shoot, from the time, we could ride a bicycle. I mean, if there was a body of water nearby, we were going fishing.
We was hitting them ponds up hard.
Anywhere we could fish, we would. Now, as far as fishing at the river, we got into striper fishing below the dam.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that factor.
And so, and to do that from the bank, you pretty much used the same gear you use like surf fishing at the beach, because I mean, you needed to make this extremely long cast. So we were casting 2-ounce weights with like a 4-aught
Sassy shad
with a sassy shad on it, or a white grub, and we were catching these big saltwater stripers, and we would catch the occasional 3 or 4 pound spot, and we were like, oh, it's just a bass,
Sure.
and but
we would walk the banks underneath below these dams. So below Lay Dam, there's a big riprap, but you pull up right there and you walk up and down the riprap, and we just go hop that riprap and go fish on the bank. And then after that, we go down below Mitchell Dam on Lake Jordan, and Lake Jordan's where we're gonna go. So we would go to that fishing platform, and we'd bomb a big line up, and we'd be drifting it. And I mean, keep in mind, this is when James could drive. Like, me and you would go down there, and you were still 16 at the time, and like we hadn't had a boat yet. So like, we come from very humble beginnings. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't very easy.
So did you? So y'all went out, fished that day. How did it kind of progress from there?
We fished our first tournament. I remember down there. It was in like a Tuesday night or a Thursday nighter. We got into Chilton County. What was the club called?
I think they just called it Chilton County Bass Club.
Chilton County Bass Club.
But what we started fishing was these Tuesday night big fish tournaments. It was one fish. You'd pay you money. Yeah, it wasn't a lot of money. It was $10 or $15, best I remember, to enter it. Man, if there was 20, 25 people, it'd pay maybe first and second place. But it was just, you brought back your biggest fish, which that evolved into a 3-fish tournament.
And then we fished 5-fish night fishing
On
tournaments.
Thursdays, from 6 to 11.
And are you like watching Bassmaster at this point?
Oh,
like
God.
all the episodes, all that jazz?
Dude, I'm all into it. Like, when I tell you I sleep dreaming about fishing, that's all I cared about. I would get up in the morning before school and go fish, go hop on the bus, go to school, come home as soon as I got home. Dude, like, that night before, I would get all my rods rigged. Like, hey, tomorrow I'm going to throw a topwater. Oh, the weather's going to be good for a topwater and a buzzbait. And go to the same stinking pond and just throw different baits. As soon as I got off the bus, I'd run around the back of the house, grab my stuff, hop on my bike, and ride like 2 miles up the road and go hit the same pond every day.
Dude, that's very much like my growing up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of still a dream of mine to be a professional bass fisherman. Like, that was my original love in the outdoors, was bass fishing. And I mean, I grew up watching all the Bassmaster stuff, and my grandfather was the one who got me into fishing. It kind of skipped a generation with my dad and my mom. Like, they didn't hunt, they didn't fish. Well, we had like a neighborhood pond, and when we'd go visit my grandfather up in South Carolina, and we'd come back to our neighborhood, I'd run down to that pond every day. Before school, after school, I would ride my bike all the way down there, and it started just catching bluegill. I didn't even know how to catch bass, but it was an obsession, and that's why. Y'all's story, like, I'm just a fan of fishing, because it to me, it was my original dream.
That's right.
And then got into the hunting, and it just, like, I became obsessed with that. But it's still like my obsession to this day is like, I love fishing. So, and what's also interesting is you and I, which I don't think hardly anybody knows this, and you didn't know this until I told you maybe a few months ago, but
fishing team.
We knew we crossed paths in college. You didn't really know me, but.
Right.
So you're fishing through high school. How do you end up going to Alabama?
All right, so I fished in high school. I played baseball. Did you play baseball in high school?
So it's funny. I didn't play baseball until freshman year of high school because I was fishing every spring and I didn't care to play.
Oh yeah, you was on the hardcore track of fishing. Yeah.
I eventually got convinced to try out and then ended up playing through high school.
I played baseball for like, I don't know, 12, 14 years, my whole life.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to pick, whenever I graduated college or in high school, like, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to go fish, play college ball or attempt to? And then after that, I was like, nah, I'm going to get on the fishing team in Alabama. So I go up there, and I remember it was, I forgot what day it was, but you go and you sign up for all the clubs and all that. So I go up there, and I knew a buddy of mine, Ben Weldon. You remember
Ben? Him.
All right, so Ben was there. Met Ben, got on the fishing team, rolled up. Dude, like, I rolled up, had a 1995 F-150. Wasn't it 95?
Mm-hmm.
Center block, that's what we used to call it. 1995 F-150 with a 16-foot champion boat that I bought for my brother as a hand-me-down. Had a 90 horsepower motor on it. Big dog, I rolled up. You talking about intimidating. They was freaking college guys up there with 21-foot Rangers.
Fully rigged. And I'm like, whoa. And this is also at a time when college bass fishing wasn't a thing.
College bass fishing had just started becoming like it was growing,
Yeah.
And it was starting to get there. And then, now this was in like 09. Okay.
Yeah, that's when I graduated high school.
Yep. So anyway, I go to college, 4 years, fast forward. Had a really good time in college, enjoyed going to all these different lakes and fishing. Learned a ton about body. I went to Okeechobee, learned about all that. And I made a pivotal moment. Like, it was a big decision. My sophomore or junior year in college. That's when it was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going all in. I'm pushing them in. I said, I'm changing my major to business. I'm going into marketing. I'm going to graduate kind of on a fast track. And I'm going to make a run at this. Point blank period. That's what I'm doing. So I went into marketing. Boom, I graduate on time, get out of college. Long story short, went broke. Did not have a dime to my name.
Which I was going to ask is because during that time in college bass fishing, which today they're giving out full scholarships, like they're giving people boats to use, like all these, even high school teams have fully rigged boats that they're having their player or their fishermen fish out of. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming Alabama gives full rides for their fishing team. Do you know if they do or not?
At the time, they did not.
But I'm saying today.
They might do the sponsorship side of things on there. I do know Bethel and a bunch of other ones.
Give like full rides.
Dude, there's like Montevallo. They'll give a full ride for fishing now.
Yeah. Well, the reason I say that is it was very different back in the day.
Yes.
Because I don't even remember how I discovered that Alabama had a bass fishing team. Mm-hmm. But I was sort of in a similar place to you where I signed up for it with the intention of like, man, I'm going to give this a shot.
Yeah.
I did it for a couple of the kind of local or inter-team qualifying tournaments. We did one on Lake Tuscaloosa and Gunnersville. And I couldn't afford it. I had other stuff going on, and it was like, man, you have to either be fully in or fully out. And I kind of went fully out from there. But the reason I bring that up is I'm tipping my cap to you is like, it was on your own dime. You know, that like the school wasn't paying for your gas. No. They weren't paying for your tackle. They weren't paying for your hotels. Like, it was a huge undertaking to make it through that time frame of getting through the 4 years in college to be on, you know, the Alabama bass fishing team.
100%. And the reason, and at the time, a lot of people were like, "What'd you do to make a living?" I drove back home every weekend to fish with him in Saturday tournaments, and whatever we won, I'd take back up there and live on it.
Yeah.
Like if I go home and win $300, that's $300 more than I had.
That's your gas, your food.
That's
your
gas,
travel.
food, and travel, and I'd just roll on back. So I did that for a long time, and then fast forward to 2014. I get out of college in 2012. I fish locally in 13. I have some good tournament finishes. I do good. I make some money. I mean, we're like, I've got like $7,000 saved up. And at the time, from a broke college kid, $7,000, dude, I'm on top of the world. Like, we're freaking rolling, dude. Mm-hmm. So I go and I sign up for my first Bass Open. This is it, baby. It's time. We're going pro. We done got it figured out. I sign up for this Bass Open, and I slide down to Florida, and I'm like, oh, yeah, let's freaking go. So I go down there and practice. First day of the tournament, I was in 14th place, sitting pretty good. The second day was the most important day of my whole fishing career, believe it or not. Didn't see it at the time. Mm-hmm. At the time, it was the worst day of my life. But you have to understand, certain things happen for a reason. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know it. I caught 2 fish that day. I lost every bite that I had. Train wreck of a day. Missed the cut. Rode back to the house with $0. A credit card that was maxed out because I had to pay entry fees on that because I needed money to live on and all this other stuff. I went broke. Had $0 to my name. Went and fished. We went and worked construction for almost a year out of state. Saved up some money.
So you stepped away from fishing for a year.
I had to. I didn't have no money to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Like James had to help me out on a couple of payments, and I still owe you for that.
You be all right.
but they like he straight up told me, he said, look, you got to get it together. You got to figure out something.
James, were you kind of pushing him, like chase your dreams kind of deal, or were you kind of reality check, like, hey?
So just the truth of it is, I knew he could do it, and I did everything I could not to discourage it. My way of helping him was just saying, hey, look, don't worry about it. I mean, I had a good job at the time. He wasn't going to fail, not financially, if I was around. And, at the time, he was, my mom
was being a good mom.
Was being a good mom. She was being the voice of reason. She was scared. Parents had just recently split up. Kind of a deal where she's nervous about the whole thing. I mean, she signed with him on a boat, and me and him had talks, about the boat. Me and my mom had talks about the boat. I'm like, stop worrying about it. Like, I'm not gonna just give you money to pay the payment every month. But if you're gonna come up short or you need help, don't hesitate. It's taken care of. Don't worry about it. That was the only way that I could help him, and so
know that I had some backing.
It's just, and I think between Danny Stevens and me, just kind of like we weren't going to let him fail financially. Now the fishing was left up to him, and we knew he could do it. Always
100%.
did.
Danny gave me a job. So Danny's a really close family friend. Danny gave me a job in construction. Keep in mind, I have a degree. I could not find a job. Like, it sucked. So Danny gave me a job. I went to Winston-Salem, worked construction up there with him. Made 16.
Really, North Carolina?
Yeah, North Carolina. Made like $15 an hour, $16 an hour. Anyway, I worked freaking every day. Saved up some money, signed up for a bass open on the Alabama River. Fast forward to that week, I practiced my butt off.
So the whole time you're working, the plan is still to take another stab at it.
Right here. I just knew that I had to hit timeout for a minute.
Yeah.
I got to get my chips back up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the only option. But I'm telling you, I was all in. There was not a plan B.
So it never left your mind.
It never crossed my mind. The only reason I showed up to work construction was to get some more entry fee money and go pay my money again. Like, I was not going to fail with this.
Yeah.
Like I intrinsically knew that. I was not like, this wasn't like, hey, well, I can just go work construction. No, it's like, we're going to go do it. So I paid my money for them opens, or for that one open. I went down there and I fished my butt off and I won it. I won $50,000.
Damn.
Let it
rain, baby. Let it rain.
Go. So I won that tournament, and that was
Hold on a second, James. What's going through your mind?
Yeah.
When he pockets $50,000 after that tournament.
Oh, it was awesome. And looking back at that, that time you spent out of town, it was rare for an open to come that close to the house, and for it to just. It was the time of year. It was the conditions. It was his tournament to win.
Let me tell you something. I've seen a lot of crazy things before, okay? And I'm going to get real deep for a second. I saw things happen that tournament that should not have happened. I practiced for that tournament. Number one, I signed up for that tournament. It was full. Mm-hmm. I got put on a waiting list. I think I was like down the waiting list a long way. I shouldn't have got in that tournament. Mm-hmm. Some people canceled out. Things just kind of sizzled out, and I got an entry into the tournament. They called me and they said, hey, we got to open it. Do you want it? I said, yes. So I got in the tournament.
It was only, a couple of weeks beforehand, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, pretty last minute.
It was pretty last minute. I got in the tournament, and I was like, dude, I got in the tournament. So anyway, leading up to the week of the tournament, I was like, dude, I'm pumped up. I'm excited to get in it. But they wouldn't run no water. And on the Alabama River, if you guys have ever been on the Alabama River, you need water flowing. And I've always caught spotted bass in the current. Dude, they wouldn't run no water. Like, it sucked. I remember I launched my boat there the first day of the tournament. 0 water was running. It was tough. I could not catch them. I was like, gosh. I started checking the weather, and they wasn't calling for rain. And then all of a sudden, it was like, it's going to rain all day on Tuesday and Wednesday. I was like, really? Tournament starts on Thursday. I'm like, huh. Okay. And then, long story short, the rest of that week, I won that tournament by 8 pounds.
Smashed them.
That don't happen. It wasn't supposed to rain that week. I wasn't supposed to be in this tournament. And it was just like it was just this weird feeling of which direction I should go that morning, the final day. I ran up the river blind. I hadn't even been up there in a week and just fished history. And I pulled up and smashed them right there. And boats had been sitting in front of the amphitheater all week long. It's like a community hole. Mm-hmm. I rolled up there that morning. There was nobody sitting on it. And I caught 19 pounds and won the tournament.
How good does that have to feel?
I knew that was my break.
That was your moment.
That was the moment that changed it all.
And that was, I'm assuming that's what sort of catapulted you, or gave you the cushion or the stockpile of chips to really go all in on it. No turning back at that point.
Oh, I wasn't turning back then. I did not spend one dime. I still to this day have not spent any money that I made in that tournament. And the reason I say that is I invested it back into what I was doing. I paid the opens for the next season, all 3 opens. It was when the opens were 3 tournaments to fish the Southerns. I paid for all them, got prepared, went down there and pre-fished for every tournament, qualified to fish the Elite Series the first year that I fished the Opens. Super awesome deal.
How hard is that to do? Like, how hard is it to qualify for the elites going through the Opens?
When it was a 3-tournament deal, I think it was a lot easier. Now it's 9. I say that. Now it's 9 tournaments. They changed the format on it. But I'm just talking about the financial strain of fishing 9 tournaments now. It's tough.
Yeah.
Back then it was 3 tournaments.
How much is each entry fee?
I think at the time it was $1,800 a tournament.
I mean, when you take
$2,000.
just that, say it's $2,000, and then all the travel in and all the gas, all the stuff.
$10,000 investment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I put all that into it, and I fished all 3 of them. That was in 2016. I qualified to fish the Elite Series, and then the journey hadn't started. It just started then. Dude, right when I started to fish the Elite Series, entry fees are $53,500 to fish them
For the year.
off the top. That's what you got to pay on top of expenses. Big dog, I just won $50,000. Okay, that's fine and well. Well, imagine getting your life savings, $50,000 out of your pocket, because I didn't have no sponsors. I didn't have no help. Eric Summers helped me. I had McKinnon Toyota help me, and maybe like I had a rod deal. It was like for $3,000. Dude, I had I think like $18,000 of help. The rest of it I was going to take out of my pocket. Now, we done went down this path before. Mm-hmm. We done did this and put on a hard hat.
Yeah.
You talking about a gut check.
Back to James. So now he's bumping it up to the Elite Series. He's got to pay $50-something thousand. On the home front, are y'all still like what are y'all feeling back home?
Well, I mean, you got to understand, there were still all the local tournaments in the background. Those airport Marines helped a lot. That and that Triton Gold money off that boat. I mean, it was paying for itself.
Mm-hmm.
One year
We won
hit
5 times.
Yeah, hit Triton Gold 4 times in a row that year. I mean,
That's just like a local tournament deal.
well, I mean, that's just boat money contingency. I mean, that was $7,000 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's $30-something thousand.
Explain that to me, what that is.
For just owning that boat. That's a contingency program that a lot of boat manufacturers have.
Okay.
You purchase a boat, you fish tournaments that are, what do they call it?
Just a Triton Gold qualified
Like
tournament.
a sanctioned tournament, whatever.
Sanctioned tournament.
And if it has 60 boats or more, and you get first place, let's just say an airport Marine paid $5,000. Well, if you bought the boat from airport there for a while, I mean, they doubled your money.
Really?
So you had $10,000 from the tournament, and then you got an extra $7,000 from Triton. Mm-hmm. And so we hit some local tournaments here that was
actually the year that I won that Open. It was in 2015. Had a groundbreaking season.
And we won what? Just on Logan Martin that year. 12 and 17.
28,000.
Yeah, in 2 days, in 2 tournaments. So, I mean, aside from the professional side of fishing, I mean, there was 2 years of very successful local fishing.
That was the fallback.
So yeah, the local was kind of your bread and butter.
He came home, and just like he said before, came home. We fished weekend tournaments, and that was that. I mean, that funded it.
So it's just nonstop.
It's nonstop fishing, dude.
You're fishing elites, you're fishing local tournaments, and you're just fishing all the time.
Fishing to survive.
You ever get sick of it? Ever get tired of it?
That's a question I get a lot. I got tired of it last year. You remember when we went and did that Pond Wars thing?
Yeah.
I was at a very low spot then.
Really?
Yeah. I thought I talked to you about that.
Yeah.
That was the only time. I'll go into that in a minute.
Yeah.
About the ebbs and flows of what we do.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, to finish up my whole career story, I fished 2017. I then won a tournament, the Elite Series, and then now here we are today. We have almost $1.8 million in winnings since 2018. Woo! It's freaking been crazy.
Slap broke in 20.
Yeah.
2012 or 20, I guess 2014.
No, 2015. In March of 2015, that's when they had that tournament.
Yeah.
And before that, it was really
So when were you doing construction? 2014?
14.
Yeah.
So from 14 to 24.
Yeah.
2014 to 2024, you won 1.8. 1.8, was that what it was?
1.8 million.
$1.8 million in bass fishing winnings. That is hard to fathom.
Let's do some math real quick. Y'all keep
It's been pretty crazy, man.
That is hard to fathom.
Well, I'll say this: God's been good to me, and gave me talent that I can't. You can't like if you're called to do something and go fishing, and you know it in your heart to go and do that, and you feel motivated to go do it. You can't give up, even if you take 10 licks on the chin, like I did. You know.
Yeah.
Sure, everybody has that story. You know.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things you said. One of the ones is like in your mind when you're just like all in, that there is nothing else. I don't feel like anybody's ever just like mediocrely like got into greatness. It's not like they just kind of half-assed their way into just, you know, creating this amazing thing or being a master of something. Like if you were 1 foot in, 1 foot out, it's kind of like I was, where I was like, man, I'd really like to do this, but at the first sign of adversity, oh, you know, you got to travel all these, you know, we're going to get this money. I was like, yeah, whatever. It's just, you know, it's just a dream. Mm-hmm. And you like any sign of you being out, like even 1% of you,
It was going to hinder.
yeah.
It's going to hinder the whole deal.
So like the fact that you're in 100% the whole time, I believe that like there are people that are way more talented than certain people that achieve greatness, but that some of these people, they will not be outworked. They will not let up. Mm-hmm. And there's just no quit.
It's all right there.
Yeah.
It's like a self-fulfilled prophecy.
Yeah. And then the other thing you said too, which it's funny. So we were hunting with friends of ours, which it's the Obed Ellis. It's the Ellis family. They've got a tragic but beautiful story. We're turkey hunting with them last weekend for the youth opener. And we were sitting there talking. We were just like kind of getting deep, talking about faith and stuff like that. And somebody mentioned this Shia LaBeouf podcast, which I've always been a huge fan of Shia LaBeouf movies. I like every one of them I thought have been awesome. But I didn't really know he went off the rails, like big time. I had no idea. It's not like I keep up with him. But they mentioned when we were all talking like this podcast, and they're like, go listen to this podcast. He tells his whole story. Like it's super, really, really cool. And he's had like a big transformation in his life. It's actually a really amazing podcast. So anybody listening, like look up the Shia LaBeouf podcast and listen to it. It's worth it. I think it's 2 hours. But he's telling this story where I think he went to rehab or some guy like intervened in his life, and he's telling the story about all these terrible things that are happening to this father and son, and the son's like, you know, this horrible thing happens, and the son's like, oh man, Dad, this like it's over. What are we gonna do? It's done. And the father's like, I don't know what this is yet. It's too soon to call. Can't call it. Mm-hmm. And there's like all these moments, like another thing happens and an amazing thing happens, and the son's like, Dad, we made it, blah, blah, blah. And the dad's like, I don't know. Can't call it yet. I think you had a can't call it yet when you were fishing that tournament, Okeechobee, you said.
100%.
And it's like, you said it ended up being one of the best things that's happened to your, you know, in your story was that kind of low. It's like
that showed me like, hey, here's your reality check. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah. And it's like, you could look at it and be like, this is my reality check, that it's like, this is a sign for me to quit. This just got too much financially on the line, you know, but it's like, can't call it yet. Mm-hmm. Don't know what this is yet.
God, dude. And the bad thing about it is you see people that chase their dreams all the time. And
it doesn't happen.
It's just it's a weird thing. But, I mean, there's guys that go and fish opens nonstop and go left and right, and they just, I can't explain, you know, that. And You just got to work hard at what you do.
Yeah.
Never give up.
And for those guys that have gone all in and it hasn't worked out for them
Kudos.
Kudos to them, but I'd say the same thing. Can't call it yet.
You just don't know.
Don't know what the next part of
on.
your journey is. You don't know.
You may win an Open and then qualify for the Classic, and then you may win the Classic next year. You just don't really understand the ultimate plan of it all.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, like, you know, we weren't, like, tight in college. I mean, we didn't even really know each other. I fished 2 of those tournaments. I hardly knew anybody. I don't know why, but, like, your name kind of stuck with me, and Ben too. And then, like, as time went on and I saw you in these tournaments, I was kind of like, yeah, I remember that guy. He fished on Alabama. I'm kind of rooting for that guy.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. And then it just, like, the momentum, the snowball effect, it just kept going on. And it's like, I mean, you are at the top of the bass fishing world right now. It's just been cool as a fan to just see.
I don't know, dude. I won that tournament. Oh, I got really emotional about it because, like, it's been crazy to see how everything has happened over the past few years. And I'm like, dude, I've seen so bad of times in fishing. I've seen it get really, really bad. And now you're like, all right, I've seen it really, really good. But I've just learned, dude, I'm even keel. If I win a tournament, I ain't up here. If I lose a tournament, I ain't down here. I'm like right here because I know that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. I feel like you have to be that way. Mentally to be about, because I did a podcast with Andy, and I told you that some of the stuff we talked about, I asked him the question, I said, what's the most expensive bass you've ever lost? And he named one particular fish, and if I remember right, it lost him $500,000. One fish.
Andy.
That's like, to this day, he remembers this exact fish that he lost, and it would have won him the tournament. And it was one of those big. Some of those tournaments paid out $500,000 back in the day. I don't know which ones they were.
Forestwood Cup
was paying $500,000. It was a Forestwood Cup then, and he remembers the exact fish that lost him $500,000. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I could ever get over that, because that's like life changing. One fish.
Oh yeah, that's a big deal.
So you're saying you were gonna get deep for a second. Where were you kind of heading with that?
So I'll just be straight up honest with everybody. So me and my wife, we went through fertility. I don't think that we even talked about this. So me and my wife went through fertility. Me and my wife, Victoria, and we were trying to get pregnant for a long time, and it just wasn't working. I say a long time, like a year and a half or over a year. So we go to the doctor to just get things checked out. And then we found out, like, hey, she has a few complications, and, like, there's nothing we can do. So, like, it's like, dang. And I'm on the road fishing at the time. Like, I'm out there getting after it, dude. But imagine going fishing, leaving your house, and your wife is someone you really love is sitting there crying the whole time, depressed that they tell her that you can't have children. And it's just like, whoa. So we decided to go through the fertility side of things. So we started that process. And then they gave us a call in February of last year and said, hey, none of it worked. Nothing. And we had high hopes about all of it. And none of it worked. Hey, all right, sounds good. I told her, I said, look, we're going to keep trucking. This is something that we got to keep our head down. We'll do it again. Did it again, didn't work. So I'm fishing on the road. I'm trying to keep a clear mindset and understand what a dang bass is doing. What? You can't concentrate doing that.
Yeah.
So I started dealing with, like, really bad anxiety, and, like, man, I was just really down. And if I'm telling y'all right now, if you've never dealt with anxiety, if you never have had that, kudos to you, but it was weighing on me hard. And I was in a really bad spot at Pond Wars last year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, we prayed about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
And now y'all are expecting.
Yeah, in 1 week I'll be a dad.
In 1 week.
Yeah. Good Lord willing, everything. I still believe there's an ultimate plan for, and we're not out scotch-free or anything. Once I'm stay worried nonstop right now. I just need him to get here safe and her to get here safe. And then it just begins when he gets here. You're still going to worry. That's what James told me. He said, you'll never quit worrying.
No, never.
So, Yeah. There you
Is
go.
there I mean, will you have to take any tournaments off, or is it y'all kind of got a plan there? Like, because I mean, Drew and I have kind of dealt with it. I mean, he had a daughter last, I think it was June, July. I can't remember what month it was. And then it's like we're launching right into hunting season, and it's like it's our job to travel and go. And they, were able to sort it out where they could hold down the home front while Drew could travel and stuff. I mean, are you planning on taking any tournaments off? You still fishing? Y'all got it? Like, what's y'all's plan on that?
Our due date is April the 8th. I fish a tournament April the 9th at Del Hollow. I got to leave that next morning and go and fish a tournament. So I'm going to be leaving the house immediately. So after that, I'll have like 2 weeks off, and then I fish another one. 2 weeks off, I'll fish another one.
That's probably going to be pretty tough.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah,
Have a child leave the next day.
Yeah.
Better be stacking the brownie points with a honey-do list.
Oh, gosh, I can't wait. I'm excited.
Well, I appreciate you sharing a bit of your story. We've never unpacked that. I mean, we shoot a lot of BS at each other.
Yeah.
But I've never actually heard your full story. I mean, it's like,
well, here's the thing. I didn't mean to talk everybody's head off, but it's a really good thing to look back and see, because I feel like I can relate to some of the kids that are coming up.
Yeah.
That are 12 years old, 13 years old, that have a dream, 14. Like, I've did that. And I've seen the dream, and then I've had it taken away, and then I pushed all my chips in, and I've seen it all progress, and then I've seen the great side of it.
yeah.
And it was kind of like our turkey hunt this morning. Kind of sucked. Oh, we heard one. Oh, then it kind of sucked again, and then it's like, boom.
Jake down, baby.
Big Jake down. Big Jake down, baby.
We had fun this morning.
Yeah.
So this was kind of fast forward or moving on from that, and now what we're here doing is I just always assumed that, I mean, James is a big turkey hunter, but y'all never really have turkey hunted together that much, like a few times.
Not many at all. I mean, what, maybe
5 times,
Four or
4
five
or 5 times.
Yeah. And this was your first Alabama turkey.
Yeah. First one. Like, it was a special moment for me and James. He's like, I pulled the trigger finally.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
That was cool. I mean, it did suck there for a minute. I mean, it was like you couldn't have drawn up a more textbook morning for them to burn it down.
They didn't talk about nothing.
We didn't hear nothing. I mean, we're barely seeing any tracks, like nothing. And then it's like we just keep plugging away. You were throwing some fish, and actually, no. The whole time, all you're trying to do is putting a spook topwater bite in my mind, because he's like, they're chewing, and it's not helping, because I'm like this far away from being like, all right, let's just bail on it. Let's just
Well,
go
we
fish.
wouldn't even see no tracks either, because I know it rained a lot yesterday, but you can recognize an old moldy track, old sunk in old track. We wouldn't see any track. We just wasn't around them. But when we got around them, it was like,
oh, it got fun quick.
there's one walking down the road. I mean, there's tracks walking down the road. I said, oh boy.
It got fun quick. And it's like, what's cool is to kind of after the fact sort of put it together of what was going on. So those birds, we heard 3 birds, and 2 of them went away, and then which it never crossed any of our minds that was a Jake. It just, I mean,
Sounded like
didn't even
a
yeah.
no, he was
100%. I
big
heard
boy
him
stuff.
drumming.
I mean, it almost had a full fan, like the whole deal, and it's like, but it makes sense now that we know that was a Jake, that he probably got his tail whooped by those other 2 Longbeards, and they pushed him off, and that's when he kind of broke off and came towards us. Mm-hmm. But it's just, I don't know, man.
If that turkey would have had 2-inch spurs and a double beard dragging the ground rope, I wouldn't have been more pumped up than what I was with that one
feeling.
anyway. It was the same exact pumped up feeling, because it was my first Alabama turkey.
Yeah. There are days when I'm like, man, we kind of got this turkey thing a little bit figured out. Like, then there's other days where I'm like, we don't have a clue what's happening. We don't know these birds for nothing.
I'd say that's more days than not.
Definitely more days than not. Like, I'm pumped about the day.
Okay, I got a question for everybody. Who has killed the most turkeys in the room right now?
Say them
I'd
two.
probably say Jane. How many have you
I don't
killed?
know. How many have you killed? Don't be lying now.
No, I mean, I think I've got about, I want to say about 26.
Oh, you got me.
that's way
Yeah, you
over
got
there.
us
26 turkeys that you killed.
About 26.
Yeah.
Not
That,
you.
that
That
Browning
ain't
hat.
that. Maybe 10, 12.
Remember that Browning hat I left
He
in
had
the
a
truck?
Browning hat.
I
It was
used
a
to-
real tree Browning
You used to
hat.
keep a tab.
I used to mark it on the inside of that hat.
Yeah.
And I've, about 20, I think he's 26.
You ain't got none underneath that hat.
No.
Now, were you trying to drag him away to go turkey hunting with you when he was fishing?
No, he was damn selfish. He wanted to hog all the gobs.
Look,
You're a hog.
just saying,
You're a gob
just
hogger.
calling him out. If you want somebody that will bail on you or not show up, this
I
guy.
know. Trust me, I know. He was ready to bail after the first 30 minutes, and he was dragging me along with him to get on that
Ready to
spook
catch some
bite.
bass.
And I was ready to do it. I was ready to say, forget the turkeys. Done with it.
Spook bites.
Let's
are
go
pure-
get on that spook bite.
They're pure pressure.
We'll
pressure.
talk all week. He was like, "What are you doing this weekend?" "I'm going turkey hunting." "I'm coming. Wednesday, what you doing this weekend?" Man, I'm coming down there. I may come down and stay with you Friday night. We'll get up and go get them. Friday rolls around. It's 3 in the evening. I ain't heard from him. "What are you doing?" Me and so-and-so, we're going to fish tournament tomorrow."
Dude, I got an addiction to that
And
fish.
It's just,
I'm just telling you, fishing's right here. Fishing's number one, big dog. I try to find me a derby every weekend. I might find one Saturday.
I always thought that was pretty cool that even though y'all fish at the highest level, like on these big tournaments, that y'all still do local stuff. That's got to be fun.
Oh,
Does
me
it
and him won one 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
3 weeks ago.
yeah,
Does it piss the locals off when y'all show up?
I think it does now, to an extent. Some of them. Now,
This
Don't
freaking
put us
guy.
on that. God almighty.
I mean, it's fun seeing all the guys that we used to fish against. I mean, those guys, they're still at it.
Oh, God,
And-
they love it.
Like it to go back down there, and now granted, some of the ones that honestly pushed us to learn how to fish and do better. Some, they've passed on, but dude, them local guys, dude, some of them,
They're
like I'm sure there's
They're
some
phenomenal.
there's some of these local guys you wouldn't have wanted some of them fishing against you in that tournament on lake.
Alabama has
I mean,
good fishermen.
these guys are good. It's great to see them.
There are some crybabies out there, though.
My next question was gonna be: have you ever gotten into a fight with anybody at a tournament? Like
I've almost
over?
got into one.
Have you?
Yeah, I've had to call
Just
a
like a
couple,
local
couple
derby?
people out. Yeah, I've had to call them out on some stuff. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, gosh. I'm going to tell y'all something. If you don't really know much, now keep in mind, pro fishing, and I ain't even talking about pro fishing. We're talking about local bass tournaments. It gets intense. I mean, even pro tournaments get really intense, too.
Yeah.
But, like, there's the same things happen on the water as they do in the woods. Like, you better not let your buddy see your game cameras.
Oh yeah.
He's putting a corn pile right beside that. I'm just telling you. Well, at least here in Alabama, you can bait here now. You pay $15 and you can slide a corn pile next to your buddy's camera any day. I mean, it's when it comes to fishing and hunting,
Someone sees you on your spot.
Oh,
they're gonna
God.
slide up there when you leave, kind of stuff.
they're gonna slide in. They're coming in hot.
I tell you, well, no, I don't think I ever told you this, but I was on Gunnersville one time, and Gunnersville's competitive. I mean, it's like you're kind of bumping boats with people. It's just Gunnersville. That's the way it is. Well, I pulled up this is last summer. I pulled up this spot, and these dudes were in like a aluminum G3, like flat bottom kind of boat. They had rod holders out, like 4 of them. Thought they were catfishing. They're just kind of sitting out there, like catfishing rigs out, whatever, on this point. Well, I'm just kind of fishing down the point a little bit, and I'm, thinking we're not even fishing for the same species. So I roll up, and these guys start eyeballing me. And then finally one of them smarts off to me, and I forgot exactly what he said. And I said something like, I said, "I thought y'all were catfishing." And he said, "Catfishing? You think we were catfishing?" Like he took offense to it. I mean, we encroached on his spot or whatever, but for Gunnersville, that's normal.
Oh, 100%.
And I didn't even mean to smart off this guy. I literally thought they were catfishing. So I said, I thought y'all were catfishing. And I guess he thought that I, was trying to insult him or whatever. Mm-hmm. He pulls a gun on me, pulled a gun out of his holster, points it at me. He said, I'm about to put a bunch of holes in that boat. If you don't get the fuck out of here.
Oh, God.
And, obviously
You never tell me that.
we eased on out of there. But it's like people get pretty freaking
here's the
heated
thing.
over spots.
What blows my mind is, like, at Gunnersville, it ain't like he probably didn't even find that spot.
No, it was a community hole.
That's what I'm saying. Well, how are you going to take
hole.
ownership on a community hole?
Huh? I'll be honest with you, though. From the consumer side, in the fishing world, I always put myself on the consumer side because I just watch the tournaments. I watch the content. I love seeing fishing fights. Love it.
Well, if MLF would, like, keep the cameras on,
they should do it. A little behind the scenes. Like, I remember the video of KVD and Mike Iaconelli pulling up and Kevin yelling at Mike.
Told him that you wasn't part of the community.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
You remember that. James remembers that. I do. Like, that's the stuff. We want to see
The real stuff.
About to say a cuss word there.
You can say I don't care.
Real shit. That's what we trying to get into. That's just part of it. That's what that's what anybody else has to deal with.
It's the same in the hunting world. Not that I'm out there trying to fight anybody, but there's definitely, certain influencer type people that I just don't see eye to eye with.
100%.
Just for whatever reason.
Well, that, and you got to be careful about what you do, about how you post and cameras and pictures and all that stuff. Because I'm just telling you, there's a lot of eyes watching, and they will slip around, man.
I have had the unfortunate mistake, and I've really had to be more careful about this. I have had people. It's every time we post an episode, people are trying to figure out where we're at.
They're trying to
find one street sign, like one anything that they can pick out to figure out where we're at. I have people that listen to this podcast, and they were picking details, little itty bitty details, and finding out, oh, he's in this area, this state, this blah blah blah, and like they are constantly trying to figure out where I'm at. And so like I'm on the biggest year of my life. I found his sheds from this past year. I'm not even saying the state. I'm not even saying nothing about it.
If you show nothing, well, here's the thing: if you show a picture of the sheds,
I'm not showing a picture of the sheds. Nobody.
100,000%. If you show a picture of the sheds and some one person, because y'all, whether you know it or not, Lee, a lot of people love watching y'all stuff, and you didn't know this. Me and James been watching y'all stuff way before I knew you.
Really?
Absolutely. Dude, I was watching like all y'all's right when y'all first started coming out years ago.
Well, I was watching all y'all stuff way before we actually became friends. I guess it was Pond Wars, the Real Tree stuff.
Oh yeah.
Is that how we became friends?
Yeah, I met you at Pond Wars, and I was like, oh man, freaking.
I think that's how we became friends.
Yeah, but anyway, long story short, if you show them that shed, and let's say one person has that deer on camera, he's gonna recognize the shed.
For sure.
And then he's going to go out, spread the word that, oh, these guys are coming in town, blah, blah, blah. And then before you know it, you got people on that property, and they're poaching it, trying to get it before you do. And it's a terrible thing when you put that in there.
There's one particular example where I'm not going to say the state because I don't want such and such hearing it and thinking it's them or whatever, but there is one example where I got this spot and this guy found out where I was, knocked on the door, said, hey, I'm with Lee, and he's hunting that spot now. He went, checked my cameras in there, hunted my stands, and I was like, you know what?
How does he know?
I don't want to deal with it.
How do you know you wasn't going to roll up on him?
He reached out, and like I saw it, and I was like, it's just, I ended up talking to him, and it was just like, man, just take it. I don't want it. I don't even want it. I don't even want to deal with it. Mm-hmm. Just stuff like that where it's, man, you try to do the best you can. You try to do right by everybody, and what is different with what we do with our style of hunting and door knocking is that anybody can go knock on these doors. It's not like we have these big farms that we own and they're untouchable, that we just got deer, you know, that nobody can hunt, even if they know where our farm is, unless they want to try and poach. But it's like all of these deer we're hunting, we have to be super quiet about, because it's accessible to anybody. Anybody can go get the neighbor's house, go knock on such and such doors, and they're in the game. It's not like we're hunting, you know, big giant farms.
Well, y'all have one thing that a lot of people cannot get: a whole fleet of helicopters.
That's a huge component, and that's our edge that we have that nobody else has.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I've seen them.
James, are you
Thomas
filled
had to
in
sign
on this?
off on it.
Are you filled in on this?
He didn't see no helicopter.
Are you filled in on this conspiracy theory? You don't even know.
No.
I mean, I wouldn't even say it's conspiracy. There's a lot of truth in it. I've seen a lot of.
So if they got helicopters, you got submarines.
Well, yeah, 100%.
I heard that too about you.
they're flying in big deer. They're flying in giant bucks into little.
From high fence farms.
From high fence farms, they're flying bucks in cages and dropping them off like they did in the damn Jurassic Park
Jurassic
videos.
Park.
That's where
Park
we were
video.
inspired by Jurassic Park.
Yeah, they were flying them in. They're flying in booners to Atlanta blocks of land.
That's got to be what it is.
Well, when we, our moment was, you know, your Okeechobee tournament where you were like, man, just this ain't it. Gotta figure something out. We hit that wall, and then we discovered helicopters and high fences.
100%.
Green light, bing, bing, bing.
Yeah, and just wads of
Start knocking them down.
cash,
Just flowing.
just to pay whoever off to let us in. I'm like,
No, that's
Sure.
like a actual legitimate, like,
It's been memed.
yeah, people were commenting that they
My
fully
gosh.
believed that we were flying in deer from high fences, and people were actually researching these high fences and researching all of the animals in their high fences and be like, look at the characteristic on this G2. Don't you think the son of this deer would look like this deer that Lee shot that he's claiming is in Atlanta? Now, this is on a high fence in Missouri.
Oh, Lord.
I'm like, you are smoking crack.
I'll tell you what we'll do. Even for the nonsense side of things, the next time I kill a big deer, that's what you ought to tell them. Say, we'll just get blood tests done for y'all. We'll just go get blood tests, and it'll.
Well, this is what was crazy. So I killed this deer in Ohio, double drop tines, double into the beams. And then there was a deer that was posted on social media on Facebook. Identical.
I saw that.
Identical. Like damn near spitting image, 100% almost identical. Except, and when I first saw it, I was like, it's the same deer. 100% it's the same deer. It was several states away. It's from Tennessee and from like 2015. And I was like, there's no way. Like it has to be the same deer. And so I'm telling you, I tracked this story down and tracked it down and tracked it down and tracked it down and finally got to all the facts. And this story is legit. It was hit by a train in like 2014 or 15 in Tennessee. And I went and saw the deer myself and compared the two racks. And then, you know, my deer's from Ohio. I took DNA samples from both. And I still want to get them sent off and analyzed. I know there's no relation. It's just probably a freak thing. But I still want to know. And if for some reason they are related, I guess I got some explaining to do.
But yeah, well, that was actually pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I mean,
what's the odds of seeing that kind of similar rack?
I'm just fascinated by whitetails and genetics and stuff like that. So I'm not helping my case out if I prove that a deer from Tennessee and Ohio are indeed related. Because then they'll be saying, well, both those deer also live by train tracks. They'll be like, no, they're shipping them on trains.
They're shipping them by freight. Unreal.
So it's always something. And so I guess what I was saying with like when I say that these deer are accessible to everybody, like we're in the trenches with people. So we're interacting with people all the time. It's not like we have a big farm and we're not, you know, bumping into people because we're all hunting the same deer. It's similar to public land in that like there could all be, you know, 15 guys hunting the same deer, and that exchange gets heated at times. And so,
Sure,
you know, I've given up spots to other people. Just like I have just tried my best to not get caught up in a lot of the drama that can happen over big deer and stuff like that. And It's just always something, man.
James, did I ever tell you about that story of well, I hate even saying no names, but Chris down there at the club? Long story short, don't want to bore you. Buddy of mine brought in some people to go hunt with them. They have like 5 or 6 members, but they brought in a couple guests.
Yeah.
They brought in like 3 people, a guy and his son. Brought them in, never been in their camp before, hosted them like, hey, these are, people that we're going to bring in. Hey, they're really nice people. They know them, cook dinner for them and all that stuff. But anyway, they were going to go hunting the afternoon before they went and ate dinner and all that. So like Chris goes out there and like they manage their property very, very well. And it's here in Alabama. But anyway, he specifically walks the guy out there and says, hey, I know you've never been here before. It was a doe killing deal.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we don't have any coil bucks down there. Just go shoot a couple does. There's, if you can shoot, you and your son shoot you a doe, we'll come back, we'll clean them, dude. We'll cook some good dinner tonight, call it good. The guy goes down there, he sends him down there. You know where the story's going. He sends him down there, and he's just sitting there, and there was a 3-year-old 10-point walks out. And the guy shoots the 3-year-old 10-point. And then his son shoots a doe. Chris was pumped up about it. Oh, man, I heard him shoot 2 times. They must have busted 2 does quick. Well, anyway, the guy calls another guy and says, hey, yeah, I shot a buck, man. A good buck came out. I ended up shooting him. Chris was like, what? I literally looked him in the face, shook his hand, and said, go down there and shoot you 2 does. We're only shooting does right now. He goes down there. Chris rolls up. He shot a 3-year-old 10-point that they had a name for that was going to be a freaking hammer on the property. And the guy just could not control it. He lost all control and shot the 3-year-old 10-point. Chris lit him up and said, you're never coming back. Get your stuff, leave. We're done with you. Take the deer with you. I'm not cleaning it. Mm-hmm. People lose their minds when it comes to big deer and big bass. Would you agree?
I'm going to lose your mind with anything competitive like that, yeah.
God.
I've tried to never go to that place. I mean, I'm as competitive as anybody. I mean, but there is a line of right and wrong. And I have done my absolute best to never cross that line.
100%.
And just do right by people. But, yeah, some people, like, man, I'm telling you, just lose their freaking minds and just cannot control themselves.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's some people. It's all of us.
We're all tempted with it.
I think we all have to check ourselves and have people around us who are willing to check you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, if you're driven, especially men, I think, but if you're a driven individual who's competitive type guy, like, you can get stuck in your own little bubble.
Oh, yeah.
And you need to, there's things in life that need to humble you, or you need to have people around you that check you. But,
well, good example of some other fishermen we knew that were.
Don't mention that.
I'm going to need to hear that story offline. I've heard some stories in the fishing world.
Well, there's sketchy things happen. Things happen, and you got to call out how you see it, and it is what it is. But
I just looked at the time, and it's 5:30.
We got to get on another golf.
We got to
put one to bed.
We got some work to do.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get back out there. I think we definitely need to. The 2 birds that we got on this morning that were burning it down.
We need to check.
We need to try to hear those tonight, I think, and maybe make a plan on them in the morning.
Put them in a tree. And if they're out there in the field right now, we may just try to.
That way we'll figure something. We'll play by ear.
We may encroach on them.
But tonight, I think there might be some hogs in trouble.
Oh, boy.
So, anyways, I mean, I appreciate y'all taking the time.
Hey, I really enjoyed that.
Share the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
my guy.
What are we doing here?
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Are you leaving?
do we all have to shake hands?
We're still hanging out for the next day. I don't know what this handshake thing is.
Well,
I appreciate you.
My father-in-law's calling. He's right on time. All right.
Anyways.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all having us.
Cool.
Shoot, yeah.
We'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.